John loved to hunt. He wasn't a nice man. He wasn't kind to animals. He didn't care about their fear. He didn't care about their pain. John liked to shoot things. He liked to mount their heads on the wall. He liked to tell stories about the hunt. He always exaggerated. He always made himself the hero. He always made the animals the villains. John hated cats the most. He hated their eyes. He hated their meows. He hated their independence. He always tried to shoo them away. He even tried to run them over with his truck. He laughed when he succeeded. He didn't care about their lives. He didn't care about their feelings. He only cared about himself. One day, John decided to go hunting with his wife, Mary. Mary didn't like hunting. She didn't like guns. She didn't like seeing dead animals. But she loved John. She wanted to make him happy. She wanted to spend time with him. She agreed to go. They packed their gear and drove to the woods. They parked their truck and walked into the trees. They looked for deer, they looked for rabbits, they looked for anything to shoot. John and Mary walked deeper into the woods. The sun began to set. The shadows grew longer. The air grew colder. John shivered. He wished he had brought a jacket. Mary shivered too. She wished she had stayed home. "Do you see anything?" she asked. "Not yet," John said, "but I can smell something." He sniffed the air. It smelled like metal. It smelled like ozone. It smelled like something burning. "What is that?" Mary asked. "I don't know," John said, "but it's coming from over there." He pointed to a clearing ahead. They walked towards it. They stopped at the edge of the trees. They looked at the clearing. They gasped. In the middle of the clearing, there was a large object. It was round and metallic. It had no windows or doors. It had no wings or wheels. It had only one thing, a bright light. It shone from the bottom of the object. It lit up the clearing like daylight. It hurt their eyes to look at it. "What is that?" Mary whispered. "I don't know," John whispered back, "but it's not from around here." As they watched, the object began to move. It rose slowly from the ground. It hovered in the air for a moment. Then it opened up. A ramp extended from its bottom. A bright light streamed out. They had to shield their eyes. Then figures began to emerge from the light. They walked down the ramp. They approached John and Mary. They stopped in front of them. John and Mary stared at the figures. They had never seen anything like them before. They were tall and slender. They had smooth gray skin. They had large black eyes, and they had cat ears and cat noses and cat whiskers. Yes, they did. The figures were humanoid cats. They looked like cats that had learned to walk on two legs. They looked like cats that had come from another planet. They looked like cats that were about to attack. John and Mary screamed. They didn't know what else to do. They turned and ran. They didn't look back. They didn't care where they were going. They just wanted to get away from those things. The humanoid cats didn't move. They watched John and Mary run. They tilted their heads. They twitched their tails. They smiled. John and Mary ran through the woods. They tripped over branches. They dodged trees. They didn't stop until they reached their truck. They fumbled with the keys. They got in and locked the doors. They started the engine and drove away. They didn't slow down until they reached their house. They ran inside and slammed the door behind them. They leaned against it, panting. They tried to catch their breath. They tried to calm down. "What were those things?" Mary asked. "I don't know," John said, "but I'm glad we got away from them." He patted his pocket. He felt his gun. He felt a surge of confidence. "Don't worry," he said. "We're safe here. Nothing can hurt us here." He was wrong. John and Mary went into the living room. They turned on the lights. They looked around. Sitting on their couch was one of the humanoid cats. It looked at John and Mary with its big black eyes. It didn't blink. It didn't move. It only spoke. "Hello," it said. There was a flash of light, a blinding light, and then John was gone.